Hey y'all, welcome back to Ink and Aspiration. I'm Emily, and today I thought it would be fun to talk about all the books that I'm going to be reading this fall. Now, there's going to be about 10 books. That's not to say that along the way I will find myself at the bookstore or online and pick up a few more, because that seems to always happen. And I know that this is probably a stack that a lot of people will read in a month. I can't do that. I'm just not that kind of reader. I tend to read slow. If there's things that I don't know, I will take time and look them up. I like to write about them. And just overall, not a fast reader. Plus, I do work and, I have to do a lot of that. And so reading is really in my spare time, but I also try to make time to read because I love it so much. It just makes me so happy. And I think that this is probably going to be a pretty good load from now to wintertime, mid-December. So hopefully I can get all these done. And so I thought it'd be cool to talk about them. And first thing that we're going to mention here is Infinite Jest. This is the current book, or actually I think the book club just wrapped this up. I am very behind and really have just a lot going on. And so I am about 50 pages from halfway point here. So I'm going to tackle that today, probably right after this video, and get halfway through here. I'm also going to have another video kind of discussing my thoughts so far on it. And it's getting interesting. It's also getting a little boring. Sorry if anybody watching this really loves this book. I see why you would love it. But for me, it's probably not something that I'm going to read again, at least not anytime soon. Now, that's not to say that something will come up. I'll see something, makes me look at it in a different light, or maybe even go and get the audiobook version of it, because I heard that's really good. But as you can see, yeah, I've taken a lot of notes on this one. I'll have a little write-up about it, a review, a blog, whatever you call it these days, that I'll have up for, just so I can have my thoughts down and always keep it in my mind, file it away, and reference back to it if I ever need to. So, still reading this one. I feel like that's taking forever, but I'll have a video out on it soon. Next up is one that's also in the book club that I'm currently in, and that is going to be, I guess, pretty soon. So I'll really have to buckle down and get to this. But it is Song of Solomon. I don't know anything about this book, Toni Morrison. I'm super looking forward to it though, because, the guy who does the book club that I'm in always picks great books, but I don't know anything about it, didn't want to know anything about it up front, read like the first page or two because I can't help myself, and so I really, really, really think I'm going to enjoy this. If y'all have read this, if you've got any tips, no spoilers, on what to look for maybe, how to approach it, let me know, and I will appreciate it. Looking forward to that one. Next up is Lonesome Dove. I love a Western, and I love reading about Westerns, or reading Western-themed books, and I have just heard such good things about this one. It's part of a series, or I think you can read them separately, but I think once I read this, then I will want to continue with the other ones. Larry McMurtry, I haven't read anything by him. I kind of have ideas of what this is because, probably just because of hearing about it so much. One of Stephen King's favorites, and I just really have heard great things about it. Heard that it's just really well written, great stories, and what's not to like about a Western. I've seen this one on a lot of TikToks. When you look up Westerns or what's a good Western book, because I like to have like a little bit of a broad range. We've got, classic literature, mystery types, thrillers, a little bit of Shakespeare going on, and then a Western. Got to have one of those in there. And so I'm super looking forward to this one. It's a little beefy. I've got some beefy ones in here, but hopefully haven't heard it being hard to understand or hard to read like Infinite Jest. But super looking forward to that. And thanks for all the TikTok recommendations on this one. Looking forward to it. And if anybody else has, read any of these books, if you got some tips on them, what to look for, all that stuff, let me know. I just love hearing from everybody else. This is another one that was recommended in the, thriller, mystery, horror type genre that I'm trying to include in all of my quarterly reads here, and that is Ask for Andrea. This one's on the thriller end of that, and I'm just assuming so because it says a thriller right there. But yeah, so love those types of books. Haven't been into them very long, so any recommendations on this type of book is highly appreciated. This one was one of those that got recommended a lot or people talked about a lot. Certainly a lot of people did not like this book. They thought it was weird or something. I don't know. And so those things kind of make me a little bit interested to see like maybe why they thought that versus somebody who thinks it's just incredible and just on the edge of their seat. But super looking forward to that one. Maybe I'll try to get around to this one sometime, in the Halloween area. So anyways, that's going to be the thriller book of the quarter. And for the classic literature, nobody has ever said don't read this book. And it was in my book club before I officially joined. And so I always wanted to read it. I love classic literature. It's probably my favorite as far as like a genre of books would be. I just love classics. I love digging deep into them and talking about them, studying them, writing about them. And that is the Count of Monte Cristo. I've got a lot of people who want to read this book too, and so I'm gonna try to get them to read it with me. Like I said, I don't think I've heard anything bad about this book. It's just one that everybody says it is beefy, but from what I've heard, it's just you'll breeze through it. It's just a well-written story, nothing crazy as far as having to go back and pieces together if it's jumping around too much. No, just heard such good things about it and won't take long to read it all. Super, super, super looking forward to this one. Again, themes, anything like that to look for that would make this a reading experience just a little bit better, let me know. I love to hear those types of things from people. All of that, I love it. And what I do is I like to carry a little field notes around. I also use it as my bookmark. And so I jot down things that I've heard or along the way to keep in mind, themes, symbolisms, stuff like that. Love it. I'm a nerd when it comes to those things. And then I like to write them down and then eventually write something about it. But so the next book here is something that I'm trying to do is read all of Shakespeare's works. And so I thought that with a couple of little Shakespeare elements or hints on and talk about in Infinite Jest, I thought that I would, for this quarter, read Hamlet. And so they don't take too much time to read. You could sit down. You could read this in one sitting in a day. I probably won't. I don't read that fast. So this will probably take me 2 to 3 days to really get what I feel like I can get out of it. So this won't take too much time at all. But I read Othello for the last quarter of this summer, early summer, late spring with that one. And yeah, so really looking forward to Hamlet. Never read it before. We didn't get this one in high school. I read Othello in high school, but really needed to go back and read that to, really understand it and get what kind of was meant out of all of that. Still haven't seen the movie. Don't know if I will. Hamlet, I just hear so much about this being referenced in other books, whether it's just a straight up reference or some characters, themes, all of that stuff just influenced by this book. And so I thought it was about time that I studied up on Hamlet. So, good one there. And I'm not doing any sort of order. I think just whatever comes along when it comes to Shakespeare. But yeah, I do plan on reading all of Shakespeare's works. Next up is one that I've been wanting to read for quite a while. And then I guess I almost feel like your phones don't just listen to what you're saying. I feel like they're like in our thoughts these days. So when I think about this book, or when I was thinking about this book, then I started just seeing it everywhere. And that is William Faulkner's The Sound and the Fury. This is a pretty hard book. Well, hard in a different way than, say, Infinite Jest. It's written very internally, like the characters of their internal thoughts. And so you kind of have to think, well, how does your mind work? When you're, remembering things and just sort of putting those together, or thinking, not necessarily to tell someone a story so that they can follow along, but if you're trying to piece together some memories, it's a little jumpy, and especially with one of the characters, who has some mental challenges. And I read about that much, but then I had to set that aside because I was trying to read this while reading Infinite Jest, and it just wasn't working. It was working for a little while, but I'm really far behind on that one, so I put this aside. But I'm looking forward to picking this back up. Hopefully I can get to this just as soon as I finish Infinite Jest, before really jumping into Song of Solomon. I'm thinking about getting the audiobook to this, at least after about halfway through, maybe, just to see if I'm on the right track with that and how the characters are talking. I always like that. I've got a hold request in Libby on the library app for that, but apparently everybody else is doing the same thing, so it's taken a long time, and they have limited copies of that. But so far, it hasn't really been as bad as I thought it was going to be. And by bad, I mean the difficulty level. So this has been super, super good. And I can't wait to get back into it and finish it, because I think that I'm going to have a lot to write about this one. So, and if you're interested, I do like to write just my thoughts. They're not really reviews, because I feel like reviews get a little weird. It's not like a product that I need a review on to see if it lasts or works properly. So our opinions, it's like having an opinion on music. It's, very subjective. And, your favorite book could be my most hated book, or, vice versa. And so I just like to write just straightforward my thoughts on it. And if anybody's interested in that, I'm thinking about doing that on a Substack or a Patreon. I think Substack is like really catching on these days, and a lot of people are into it. So I might do that. But stay tuned, see what happens. Up next, another you probably already saw it. Another challenge. Hopefully getting to this around Christmas time. And that is James Joyce, Ulysses. This was also in the book club that I'm in. It was just before I had officially joined with that. And so I'm glad that there's several lectures on this one, because I have just heard so many amazing things about it. The writing of James Joyce. Have not read anything by Joyce so far, but if I'm, really on track with the classics, and I love a good, 1920s. That's just, I feel like I'm gravitating more towards that. And so must have to sort of round that off for me as far as what books I've got to check off for that time period and style. So super interested in this. Now, of course, I'm always reading Swan's Way or In Search of Lost Time. I'm still in Swan's Way. I really enjoy reading that in the evenings, maybe right before bed. I don't know what it is about it. It's like a little comfort blanket at this point. I don't know if it'll continue to be that way. So I'm reading just little pieces here and there of it, but it's really soaking in, almost meditating on it a little bit. I just love Marcel Proust's writing, just his thoughts on it. And of course, a lot of people like to say just about the involuntary memories. It is that, but it's a lot more than that. There's a super good story within there as well. And the characters, I love all of his family. Some of them aren't the greatest people, but as far as like how he describes them and how he tells the story and their personalities, it's just really, really cool. And I don't know, I just feel like I'm easily watching a TV show when I'm reading that, and it's just been really enjoyable. So I highly recommend, at least so far. I mean, there's a lot more to that. There's like 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's 6 volumes, and I'm just on the first one. But I think it's going to continue to be really amazing. Also, so me and my partner are going to be presenting a mystery book. Not like a mystery genre, but I don't know. So I'm picking one, they're picking one, and we're going to reveal those in an upcoming video pretty soon. And I don't know what it is. So I'm really looking forward to that. And so it'll be like our initial reactions to it. So that's going to be really cool. And then we'll talk about it. So altogether, that's about 10 books, I believe. But that's not to say that there won't be other ones added to it, because we do go to the bookstore quite often. Well, we used to, and they closed all the bookstores here. It's awful. I live in Middle Tennessee. It's not shocking. So I have to go into Nashville to go to our bookstore, which is fine because it's an independently owned bookstore. I love it there. It's all accepting and everything. So it's great. They're wonderful. They will always be there. They have such a huge following. So I don't have a problem, at least concern of them going anywhere anytime soon. But we go there. Of course, we're going to buy 2, 3, 4, 5 books. So it's just always what happens. It's an addiction. I don't care. I know a lot of you are the same way, and we can just, support each other in our addiction. But anyways, so those are the books. And when those new ones come along, because I'm 100% sure that's going to happen, I'll let you know. And I will also be putting out the second part, my thoughts on Infinite Jest, because I've got quite a few. And I guess that's it. Trying to do these a little bit more often. Just been really busy the last week or two getting my parents moved up here closer to me. But yeah. So anyways, if you've made it this far or you actually just watched this video, thank you. And I will talk to y'all later. Okay, bye.